Hello, I am Jessica Michaels, and I'm here to give you a demo of CallTrackignMetrics' exciting new integration with Google's Data Studio. So let's go ahead and take a look. So to get to the integration, you'll go to Settings, Integration, and then we have the Data Studio live right here. If we click into this, it's going to give us a great summary of the setup. We have two different connectors. They work pretty differently. We have the call log connector, which is going to be unaggravated data. And then we have our activity report connector, which is pre-aggravated data. So they work very differently. They're both very handy. It's just two different ways to do things. So with each of those, we have a different template that it will pre-fill. So to get started, we're going to take a look at the call log connector. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to need is to just simply click it. So once we click the call log connector, it'll bring us to here. If we haven't connected before, it's going to ask us to authorize. So I'm going to go ahead and allow, say allow, which will then bring us to this screen where we need to put in our API key. So what I'm going to do is come here, and we actually have that built into the page. So I can grab this, head over here, and then put in my token and hit submit. So now it's going to bring me to this page. Now all of this is going to be in reference to the activity log connector, so don't pay any attention to that. So our first step is going to be to enter in our account ID. To do that, I can come up here, go to settings, and see that this is my account ID. Grab that, head back and paste it in. Now if we scroll to the bottom, we'll notice that it has use report template for new report. So this is going to automatically generate a report with this. So if you don't want to use our template, no problem. You can just unclick that box. If you do, just leave it connected. Okay, so from here, our next step is to hit connect. And this will bring us to our connector. So if you're familiar with the Data Studio, you'll know that if you connect to Analytics or any other connector, it'll bring you to a screen like this, which is going to highlight all the different dimensions and metrics that we'll be mapping over. So because this is from the call log, we have several different metrics and dimensions that we'll be sending over. So from here, we really don't need to touch anything. I like to point out that there's an Explore button. Now what this will do is it'll allow us to play with this data before we put it into a report. So I can show you what that looks like. And I usually like to jump to a pie chart. So right here, it's going to default to the dimension of direction. So I can see I've had inbound and outbound and see how that would report. I can click around and see a few different charts and graphs, what these would look like. We'll go blend by state. So actually show me the calls I've had per state. Pretty cool. Now I can type over here any dimension and it'll pull it up. So here we have agent. So if I wanted to do a dimension for agent name, I can pull that over. Now that won't work with this report. Come over here. I'm going to get rid of direction. So this should now pull me up a report by agent. Now I can add in additional information here if I want some additional metrics. So maybe I want to know hold time. I can put in things like ring time. Just different metrics to go along with the agent report. So now I'm looking at agent by talk time, hold time, and ring time. So again, this is just a great way to play with the data before you put it into a report. So if we click back over here, now if we just simply hit create report, and then from here again, create report, here it's going to auto map the data from my account into the template. It's got the date frame of just this month, so this should be a pretty small sample. What I can do is come here and actually say, let's just make this the last week this month, month to date. We'll say last month, so I can see some more data. Here we go. So it's going to pre-populate this. In this case, for forms, I'm seeing no data. In text messages, I'm seeing no data because this is my test account and I'm not doing any forms or texting through it. So that makes sense. Here I have my agent report, my call map, my top sources. It would tell me my calls by desktop or cell right here. But again, this is a test account, so I don't have a lot of data to report on. Now here's a cool spot. From here, it's going to show us our total calls inside a CTM. And what I can do is actually connect these to analytics. In this case, it's trying to connect to this data source, but obviously CallTrackignMetrics isn't going to be able to send over Google Analytics data. So all you would do in this case is we would delete this connector, and then I'd want to add a Google Analytics one, and then say OK. So now I'm mapping from analytics and not from my test account. Now this is going to do total events, and this is actually from the CallTrackignMetrics account. So it's looking at very different data than my test account. So you can populate these fields, but you would need to pull in from your analytics connector and pull in from your ads connector. So then that would be able to tell you the total calls and scored calls and conversions amount in CTM, how that translated into analytics, and then how that translated into Google Ads. So with that, it's pretty straightforward. We'll auto-populate the template. Anything past that, you can create new pages to the template if you'd like, and then drag and drop new reports. So you know whatever data is important to you and your business. So here I have one. Oh, this is pulling from analytics. So now I would want to exit that and select a new data source of CTM. And then here I can put in my different dimensions. So if I wanted source over direction, see my top sources, and there they are. So pretty cool. Some of the fun things with Data Studio is you can go into view mode, so then it all becomes live and interactive, and I can go to the first page and have the same thing. So we can actually interact with our reports, hover over them. We can adjust the metrics, see our comparisons month over month. And that is really all there is to the call log connector. I highly advise playing around in the Explorer to get an idea. With this, again, it's unaggravated data. So this is doing the sum. Things like this with the metrics, you'll want to pay a close attention to, because maybe you're looking for average rather than sum, because those are going to be completely different numbers. So if I wanted to look at my agent's average over their total, we can just change the metrics and we are good. You can also edit really anything about this. So I can edit the name, I can edit the mapping of it. So a lot of customization you can do in here, and this type of customization will probably only apply to the call log connector. Okay, I hope you found this video informative. If you have any questions regarding our Data Studio integration, I would recommend going to our Help Center and checking out our documentation there. All right, thanks. Have a great day.